entirely satisfied with the quality of the work done by contractors, such as Mears and Wags, including subcontractors employed by them? And do you consider such work to be value for money?
Thank you, Mr. Perrin. Am I entirely satisfied with the quality of work done by contractors? No, not every single time. Over the last 3 years, our Transforming Homes programme has refurbished over 5,000 council homes. Our responsive repairs contract handles over 40,000 repairs a year, well over 100 a day on average. To say that each of these would be delivered perfectly every single time would just be unrealistic. Am I entirely satisfied that when issues are raised through the correct channels, they are taken seriously and officers work hard to address those issues? Yes, I am. Repair satisfaction levels are carried out independently of this council. This means that people with no housing department bias are involved with asking questions. Those responses are reported at every cabinet meeting. As you know, Mr. Perrin, as you are a regular attendee of cabinet, you will know that these figures consistently show satisfaction levels of above 85%, and this year they have been better still, around 88%. But as always, I will push this further to see what we can do as a council to get this above 90%, and I'd like to take it to 95%. I announced in the January Cabinet meeting that I would get a cross-party working group together to look at this. This group has now been formed, and we will begin a series of meetings and visits throughout March, and this starts next week, and a report of the findings will be finalised in April. Mr. Perrin.
Councillor Worrell, I hope you will forgive me if in my reply to you I repeat some of the things you've already said. But I do like to come with a prepared statement, and sometimes it does go over old ground. So if I may, I'll read my statement, or read the preamble to my question. I ask this question yet again, as your recent claim to an 85% satisfaction rate for work done by Mears, Waits and Keepmoat appears to be at odds with the number of dissatisfied tenants making complaints to their respective councillors. Just ask some of your fellow councillors what they perceive to be the highest cause for complaints by tenants, and they will tell you it is to do with the standard of work carried out in their homes. Indeed, I can from personal experience show you examples of shoddy work in my own home, which is still ongoing. I am also given to understand that yesterday you were made aware of serious flooding in the home of Mrs. Deirdre Lodge, caused by faulty capping of water pipes after the removal of a water system. I believe that the method used to calculate the satisfaction figure is at best spurious, at worst deliberately misleading, or are you in denial that any problems exist? Do you accept that the standard of work is equally, if not more important than cost, and that if repairs and maintenance are carried out to a high standard at the outset, in the long term the cost will be less than that of papering over of the cracked job, which would probably have to be redone in a matter of months rather than years? My question is, can you assure tenants of council housing that quality and a high standard of workmanship will be the main criteria for council contracts, and that any lowering of standards in order to cut costs will not be accepted?
Thank you, and I will respond, even though I do believe that I did cover it in my first. Mr. Perrin, you did raise with me directly the need for your repairs to be done, and I raised this the very next morning. So you know that I certainly did that. Mrs. Lodge emailed me yesterday afternoon. I picked that up at about 7:30 last night, and I would say that by 7:35 I'd sent that on to a senior officer to deal with that. So I'd like to think that we are on top of when it goes wrong. We have 40,000 repairs a year. You know, we know that things will maybe go wrong. And the way that we carry out the satisfaction surveys, there is a group of 6 of us that will be looking right across the contract over March. It's quite an intense timetable that we've got. And one of those days will be a visit to Manchester for the day, so that is quite something for people to be taking on, to go to the call centre and to see exactly how these calls are done. There's absolutely no bias, there's nothing for us to hide in this council, and I think that that everything does stack up at the back of it, you know, and I'm quite pleased with the way that we do carry out our repairs. So if there's anything that, you know, if you wanted to raise with me again about your own repairs, then you know more than well that you could get me outside any council meeting that I will get.